It started as a normal day, but behind the closed doors of one apartment, a child's life was slowly slipping away. 5-year-old Sujin Han was a young girl who should have been enjoying the simple things in life, playing with toys, going to school, and feeling safe at home. Instead, Sujin lived in an apartment with her biological father, Jin Han, and his girlfriend. From the outside, nothing seemed unusual. Neighbors saw the family occasionally coming and going, and life appeared quiet. But what was happening inside that home would later shock everyone who heard about it. People who lived nearby later described Sujin as a quiet child. She rarely spoke and often kept to herself. At the time, no one realized that her silence might have been a sign that something was terribly wrong. Authorities would later uncover evidence that Sujin had been living in an environment filled with fear and neglect. Young investigators believed the little girl had been subjected to ongoing mistreatment inside the home. What should have been a safe place had become a place where she suffered in silence. Then one night, everything changed. Emergency services were suddenly called to the apartment after Sujin was found unresponsive. Paramedics rushed to the scene, but when they arrived, the situation was already critical. The little girl was immediately taken for medical care, but despite efforts to save her, she sadly did not survive. Doctors examining Sujin quickly realized something was deeply wrong. Her injuries raised serious questions. Medical staff reported that the condition of the child did not match the explanations being given. What was first described as an accident quickly began to look like something much more disturbing. Police were notified, and an investigation began almost immediately. Detectives arrived at the apartment and started gathering evidence. They examined the scene, interviewed neighbors, and questioned the 2 adults who had been responsible for caring for the child. Sujin's father, Jin Han, and his girlfriend initially claimed the child's injuries were the result of an accident, but investigators weren't convinced. As medical reports came in, they painted a very different picture. Evidence suggested that Sujin had endured a pattern of mistreatment over time, and the injuries that led to her death were not consistent with a simple accident. Authorities soon determined that the young girl had been living in dangerous conditions for months. Both adults were taken into custody as the investigation continued. News of the case spread quickly, and the story shocked the public. Many people were deeply disturbed by the fact that such a young child had suffered inside her own home. Eventually, the case went to trial. During the court proceedings, prosecutors presented evidence showing the extent of the abuse Sujin had allegedly endured. Medical experts testified about the injuries and explained how they could not have happened accidentally. Investigators described what they had found inside the apartment and how the timeline of events unfolded. The courtroom listened as the tragic details of Sujin's short life were revealed. The prosecution argued that Jin Han and his girlfriend had failed to protect the child and were responsible for the abuse that led to her death. The defense attempted to challenge parts of the investigation, but the evidence presented was powerful. After hearing the testimony and reviewing the facts of the case, the court reached its decision. The verdict found the defendants guilty of severe child abuse, resulting in the death of Sujin. For many people following the case, the outcome brought a sense of justice, but it could never undo what had happened. Sujin Han was only 5 years old. Her story became a tragic reminder of how vulnerable children can be when the adults responsible for protecting them failed to do so. Because every child deserves a home where they feel safe, protected, and loved.